For those of you that have followed the Stalker modding scene for more than a couple years, you would know that there's quite a few mods often left unresolved, unfinished, still in progress, whatever word you'd like to come up with. There have been quite a few of these mods that have said, oh, we're this brand new important thing, you should pay attention to us, that sort of thing. There have only been maybe a handful of these mods that have truly distinguished themselves. And to go further on this point, that have added on to the original game's features. What's one feature Stalker fans may have wanted for a long time? Actual multiplayer. The original games have only had deathmatch, basic 6v6 modes. Stalker fans, not the majority, but some of them, want to have an actual multiplayer mode, and when Stalker 2's multiplayer was announced that it would continue along this same vein, a lot were disappointed. But to segue back to those in the modding scene, there's a name that comes into focus: Ray of Hope. Because for many that's what it was. Note, I'm not saying is, because it may be in development hell, it may not ever come out. Because it's been in development for years at this point. When Stalker 2 was announced, people thought it would actually be able to come out before Stalker 2. But now that Stalker 2 is only a month away, things have changed. Of course, with Stalker 2 having the traditional multiplayer experience we all know, Ray of Hope, if it does come out, plans to do things a little bit differently. It promised Stalkers a whole new world, new quests, new items. But overall, the ability to play and explore the world with their friends. Now, there are a couple other Stalker multiplayer mods that are being worked on right now, but I would say they're all in the same unfinished state that Ray of Hope is, although one of them is playable up to, I think, I can't remember, Cordon, Yantar, one or the other. Point is, it's not finished. I believe it's called XRMPE. But even before this, there were numerous other attempts. And by the way, multiplayer isn't the only way that mods have tried to connect players. There was also this real-time, real-player PDA connection mod where you could send actual PDA messages in the world to other players, which is really cool. Of course, people like to shitpost, but you'll have that. It had a sense of novelty around it. It was really cool to see in action. It was just amazing, even if it was just a tiny little thing with nothing else behind it. The sense that you were talking to real people behind the screen was amazing. But back to Ray of Hope. They've done a lot for their community. They've tried to keep it relatively informed, I suppose, if you can call posting maybe a handful of videos at most over a handful of years. I mean, it's annual at best. I mean, look, I do get it. You want to work on the mod and not work on your publicity. You would think it's far more important to actually work on your mod rather than work on videos saying, oh, we've done this, this, and this. But I would say they're both equally important, because if you have no one looking forward to your mod when it comes out, then you won't have an audience. And as the years go on here, Ray of Hope isn't going to have much of an audience if it never comes out. There's always going to be that section of the player base that wants more, because GSC just doesn't see it fit to give these players an actual multiplayer experience. I'm not saying a 6v6, like that smaller team dynamic isn't traditional multiplayer, but you know what I mean, right? Just like with other features they may not get, players will turn to mods in the community to get what they might not be able to traditionally. Multiplayer isn't the only aspect that suffers from this. Having been a long-time player of DayZ, I can tell you that there is a good portion of the Stalker fanbase that does enjoy actual multiplayer interactions with each other. There is a number of servers on DayZ and Project Zomboid that all want to foster this experience. Of course, I get it. You could say, oh, these are Two separate games, it's not the same thing, I understand. I'm simply saying that there is a market for it. In regards to fanbase trouble and controversy, I think Ray of Hope really only had one major issue, and that was when they announced that they wouldn't have private servers or whatever it was, and people were just really upset about that. The ability not to host your own servers privately or some shit. But apart from that, I mean, it was really smooth sailing. If you call posting a video once a year smooth sailing, I guess. It can't be that difficult to do it, at least once a month, every 3 months, every 6 months, I mean, come on. It makes me wonder if any work is really being done, but then again, on the website, it does say that they need more crew members, so perhaps work is still being done. Maybe they're just stuck somewhere and need extra help. Who knows? They're not really very public with this sort of thing. I think in this situation, it would help to be more public and say, oh, this is what we're suffering from, because then you could have the community offer to help you. If you're not more vocal with these issues, how can you expect actual help? The only thing people are going to see is a dead mod that's been dead for years and just posts 10-minute videos every year. After all, if you look at their website, it's pretty bare bones. There's not much there. Just them asking for extra staff. Their 2 or 3 devlogs they've made over the course of 7 or 8 years. I mean, come on, man. That doesn't exactly inspire much confidence. Still though, it's the only real big name out there for Stalker multiplayer fans. And now, XRMPE is making its own audience. And in a much shorter time frame, it seems to be doing a lot better. It seems to be going a lot further than Ray of Hope. Of course, Ray of Hope is trying to be a lot more ambitious, which isn't a bad thing, but I feel like they could have started out smaller and started doing things slowly, piece by piece, bit by bit. That way, they would actually be out, they would have more support from the community, they would be able to do things easier, quicker, without as much of a headache. But they're taking on all of these major things at once. And I just see it becoming a huge issue. Well, not more than it already has anyway. However, whichever mod comes out first, Ray of Hope or XRMPE, hopefully, we will eventually have a Stalker multiplayer experience. And that neglected portion of the fanbase will have something they've always wanted without diverting to DayZ or Project Zomboid, because those really aren't the same. However, I will say, I've been looking forward to Ray of Hope for years and years, ever since I started following Misery back in, 2014, I think. It's been a long fucking time. I would love to see Ray of Hope come out, though. Maybe one day. Alright, that's all for this one. See you next time.